we had a boat rental, and this is also where some of the confusion come in that needs to be cleared up. We had a boat rental for 1 p.m. so in the evening, but like I said, like the forecast was just showing rain throughout the whole time that we was there, and it showed that it was going to rain at 1 p.m. So I woke up at maybe 5 or 6 checking the weather, and as soon as the people opened, the boat rental people opened, I called them and I was like, we agreed to, let's see if we can push this thing up to 9 a.m. So we rented that boat at 9 a.m. and man, it was a beautiful day. One of the things to clear up, a lot of you guys were saying, you guys seen the video of Raven driving that boat, and a lot of you saying, oh, they're driving so fast, and why this kid don't have a life jacket on, all that kinds of stuff. We was in a pontoon boat. They don't go very fast at all. Pontoon boats go 18 miles an hour, while there's other boats by us going 40, 50 miles an hour, flying past us. So it may have looked like it in the video. We weren't. It's a cruise boat. We weren't going fast. It's a cruise boat. But anyway, that day started out perfect. We got a chance to see like the U.S. Navy ships out there in the bay or the lagoon, whatever you want to call it. Got to see Coast Guards. We got to see dolphins. They got to see dolphins for the first time, y'all. We got to the Shell Island and was on like a sandbar, and we was just snorkeling. We bought snorkel gear for the kids, and we were just trying to show them a great time. All right, picking up crabs. We was beach hopping, and we had a picnic. And at that picnic, we fixed sandwiches and had juices, grapes, fruits, chips, and like it was one of the best picnics we had. And Trin actually told her mom, she was like, man, Mom, this sandwich is so good. Like it was a sandwich, but that day it was so perfect that everything just seemed like it was wonderful. So something as simple as a sandwich, it was just perfect for us all, But yeah, the time for that boat rental expired, and so we was on our way back, and we turned the boat in, and we was like, man, it's just 1 o'clock. Our original plan for that evening was to go to an escape room that we had seen, but the kids had so much fun snorkeling that me and Raven, we looked at each other, we like, do you want to, I was telling her about Destin and how pretty the water is down there. But after we turned in the boat, she asked me to check like what the weather is like in Destin. So I had checked. And so I was like, what, you want to take the kids out there to snorkel some more? And we was like, let's ask the kids. So we asked the kids. They fell so in love with it. Like, y'all just don't know. It's so beautiful snorkeling. All the stuff you get to see. The kids that were so excited, like when we asked them, like, do you guys want to go to another beach and snorkel some more? They lit up. Everybody, all of them, they lit up. They're like, yes, let's go. And so we canceled our plans for the escape room to go to Destin on our last day, our last evening, to go out there to the beach. And here's some more clarity on where we were at. So we were at, the locals know, we were at the place called East Jetties. And for those of you who don't know what a jetty is, it's where the ocean and a lake, basically, to put it in simple terms, that's where they connect, okay? And so a jetty is like, it's the jetty that we were at, it was maybe about 3 football fields away from the actual ocean, okay? And so what a jetty is, they pile these great big old gigantic boulders up for like 400 or 500 feet out into the water. They pile them up, and what it does, it cancels any waves from the inlet. It just, and like it's a shallow place. You have no waves, kids, families, teenagers, preteens, young kids. They're all out, you know, inside that jetty. You know, it's calm waters, and the entire day. So we got there at 3:40. So and I know this because our parking time expired at 7:40. All right, guys. So we got there at 3:40. We were out there for 3.5 hours doing nothing unusual. So the places that we were going, everyone else was going also. A lot of you was questioning like why no one had on life jackets. 95% of the people out there, nobody had life jackets. It's a jetty. It's basically a kid pool that we were at. Okay. And so, yeah, we weren't doing anything unusual. We were just snorkeling, looking at fish, looking at crab like we did at Shell Island. So once again, for some of you who are just logging on, the boat rental was in Panama City Beach, which is like 1 hour and 15 minutes away from where we were at. So that boat rental was only in Panama City Beach. Turned the boat in. We drove to Destin. All right. So the life jackets that we did have were on that boat that was property of the boat rental place. All right, but back to Destin, we were doing normal things, you know, the kids, the smaller kids in the most shallow part, the preteens like Trin and my oldest son, who's the same age as Trin, 10 years old. You know, they're more adventurous. They'll go out into, you know, where the water get to their chest. And so that's what we were doing all day. And then of course the adults and boats and stuff are farther out also. And man, y'all, we've been taking so many videos. I'm not gonna get off track. We've been taking so many videos that can they were beautiful video. We was filming to like just make one big old, you know, recap video of what an amazing time we was having. But in those videos, it'll show you like the layout, setup, how the rocks are, how the people are just out there snorkeling, everyone just out there. But back to like I was saying, the small kids would be at the front in the shallowest part. As you get older, the older kids, you know, venture farther out, and adults and boats and stuff even further out. All right, so about 7:05 roll around, me and Raven are on the beach, and I'm in the sand. I'm laying in the sand, playing in the sand, getting sand everywhere. Raven, she's on the little. We had that picnic blanket mat thing out there, and Raven, she was just sunbathing on that, and we were talking and all that stuff. And 7:05, 7:10 roll around. Remember, our parking pass ends at 7:40, so we were actually planning to get ready and go. And so I told Raven, like, look, it's about that time. We both in agreement. So yeah, it's about that time. Time to wrap it up. When I say the day was so beautiful, man, when we were wrapping up, I got it on video. There were some airplanes putting on a show, putting on a air show. I'm telling you, like, everything was perfect. But so yeah, it was time to go, like 7:05, 7:10. I get up, I say, all right, I'm about to go round up the kids and wash this sand off me, because I had sand everywhere. Like I said, I was laying in it, playing in it, all this stuff. And so I go and tell the kids, hey, it's time to go. And Trin and Kingston, you know, they they're older, they got questions. They were like, "Where you going?" You know, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just about to walk out here, get this sand off my body." And so they walked as far as they were comfortable. Like I said, this was nothing out of the ordinary. Something we was doing the entire 3.5 hours that we were out there. Where they stopped, it was a spot we've already been, everyone already been. And so I was maybe about 10 feet ahead of them, you know, and they were standing there just talking, nothing to alarm anybody of any danger. And me, you know, I'm dipping to get the sand off my body, you know, rubbing myself down and stuff. And I had sand in my head, so I go up to float on my back. A lot of you don't know me, but some people know that I float. That's my favorite way of swimming. I float on my back, and yeah, I float on my back. I was floating to wash the sand out of my hair. And as I was floating, like, I wasn't floating to swim. I was just floating just to stay still, wash the sand out of my hair. So I wasn't paddling or anything. I wasn't stroking or anything like that. But after I felt that the sand was all gone out of my head, I go into a doggy paddle. You know, so if you know what a doggy paddle is, that's basically swimming on your stomach. And I look, I'm like, I'm a whole lot farther away from Trinity and Kingston, a lot more farther, you know, from them, for me to just be floating to stay still. And so I start to, and they're still just standing there talking, you know, looking at me, standing there talking, looking at me, standing there talking. And so I try to swim. I get back on my back and start swimming back to them, or so I thought. And so after I felt that I swam enough to reach them, I go back into a doggy paddle, and I'm in the same position, still further away from them than what I should be. And so I asked them, like I said, all this time, there was no warning signs, no nothing up until this point. So I asked them again, you know, that was just looking at me and talking, just chilling. I asked them again, I was like, I was just swimming to y'all. Was I moving to you? And they was like, no, you weren't moving to us. You was just swimming in place. And so me knowing what's going on, I didn't want anybody to panic. I said, all right, guys, look, we're gonna walk back to the beach. And this is where it gets tough at. A lot of people who know me know that I bottle up. I'm usually not a guy to show emotion. Whew. All right. But I said, yeah, we're going to walk back to the beach. But instead of walking, both my son and Trinity, they took their feet off the ground, and they was thinking they were going to swim back to the beach. And that's where I messed up. I knew that I was in the current. I knew since I was in the current that they were in the same one, but they didn't know anything was wrong. My son, he know how to swim a little bit. And earlier in that vacation, I've actually been teaching him how to float and giving him reasons on why. I come to that later. But yeah, they took their feet off the ground, which was their safety net. And when they took their feet off the ground, the the current just flowed them to me. And me knowing my son, he had swimming lessons, I yelled at him. I said, Kingston, just float on your back. And he did just that, no hesitation. And he immediately started yelling for help. And Trin, she had her snorkel gear on. So, and I knew that Trin, she wasn't the swimmer. So my focus was on Trin. And I saw my son, he was okay. He floated on his back. I taught him, and he did just that. And so this entire time while we were fighting to save Trin, you know, that's what my son was doing, just floating on his back the entire time. But when they floated out to me, when that current brought them out to me, I knew right then and there I had to help Trin out. And so my son, he started yelling for help. And that's what got the alarm of everybody on the beach. The people on the beach heard, and they started blowing whistles or waving towels and stuff, trying to flag boaters down. And all that time while that was going on, I'm going underwater, grabbing Trin by her legs and pushing her up, but doing it in a way to where I can conserve energy, but also keep her head above water until, you know, help arrive. And so I'm going up for air, coming down, pushing her up, go up for air, come back down, grab her legs, keep pushing her up. And like I said, I wasn't using all my energy at the time until I saw help. Her mom heard the help screams. And so, remember I said her mom was at the picnic, well, we were at the picnic table. I was in the sand, and not the picnic table, but the picnic blanket. So when I got up to go and wash the sand off my body, her mom was just walking in the shallows of the beach, you know, where the water, it'll hit your feet and then recede, hit your feet. She was just walking in the beach, you know, it was nothing to worry about. But back to where we were at, when she heard the screams and the help calls, she immediately came running and fighting through that water. And she's not the strongest swimmer, but she was the first one to get to us. And as I said, I was pushing Trin up in a way to where I can conserve my energy to not, you know, because I didn't know how long it was going to take for help to arrive. But when I saw her mom, I figured her mom was, you know, I was pushing enough to where we were, I figured I was pushing enough to where we gotten back close to the shallows. So when I saw her mom, I figured her mom was, you know, walking. And so I gave her a real big push when I saw her mom. Wasn't worried about conserving no more energy anymore. I gave her a real big push. And she actually flew past her mom. And her mom had to go get her. And immediately after I gave that big push, there was this boat that came, and I was at the front of the boat, and I saw that they grabbed my son from floating. They grabbed him out and pulled him up on the back of the boat, and I saw like this little hook to hold on to. So I was swimming to that hook, and one of the people on the boat came, and he was like, "You need help?" I was like, "No, just go get them." And so I just grabbed that hook and just held on to the hook. But when the boat stopped, it was spinning, and it actually spent me the opposite way from seeing what was going on the other side of the boat. And so from right now, I got to give a point of view from Raven's point of view, and from, like, I seen like the paddle boat lady comments. And so yeah, as I was holding on to the hook, a lady on the paddleboard paddled out. And remember I said Raven was she had Trin, but I thought she was on sand, and I thought she was walking. So I thought everything was good. But Raven told me later that she actually wasn't walking, she was doggy paddling also. And so basically where I left off, she took over. And I wasn't aware that what was going on. For one, I thought she was walking and saying, and for two, I was holding on to the boat and the boat was spinning in the opposite, spinning me away from what was going on. But those two guys that was on the boat, at first I thought they came from the beach, but from the paddleboard lady perspective, the two guys that were on the boat, they were the ones that got into the water and they grabbed Trin. Well, Raven pushed Trin to them and they had her. And from Raven's perspective, she said, you know, I pushed Trin to him and they had her. And there was no more struggling. Trin was, you know, we were good, you know, everything was good. And I'm guessing that the two guys thought Raven couldn't swim also, as much as Trin couldn't swim. So there was a moment right there where, not to speculate, but from perspectives, they also tried to save Raven. And from them trying to save Raven, that's when Trin slipped away. And still, I don't know what's going on. And finally, their boat spin all the way around to where I can see. And what I see is the paddleboard girl made it to Raven, and Raven was on the paddleboard. And I asked Raven, I said, where's Trin? And she said, I don't know. And so there were, like, again, two guys that were on the boat. And Raven, she explained to me later that that there was a skinny guy and there was a big guy. I actually saw when they were pulling my son on the boat that there was a skinny guy and there was a big guy. So I can say that the two guys that jumped off the boat were the same guys that pulled my son up. But the skinnier one, he was like an older teenager with hair maybe about six inches long. The bigger guy was like just an older man. Not older, he was probably like in his high 30s, with a little buzz cut. I remember that much. But she did say the skinny one, which I perceived to be the teenager. He immediately, when he saw Trin slip away, he immediately tried to go after her. And from Raven's account, he was, you know, coming up, going back down, coming up, going back down. And at the time that was happening, the bigger guy was taking the boat to the shore. And this was as soon as I asked Raven where was Trin, the boat got into motion and couldn't let go because, you know, you can get caught up under them propellers and all that stuff. But so that's what happened, and that's how she was lost. And the paddleboard lady brought Raven to the shore. And after that, that's when it was out. Everything was happening so fast. It seemed like immediately there were Coast Guard and lifeguard right there searching for Trin. Like, everything was going so fast. And me and Raven, we were separated, but there were police officers from different departments coming out, saying, trying to get an understanding of what's going on. So we're answering different departments as they come out in different shifts. You know, you got the Coast Guard, got to know what's going on, the local sheriff department, the local police department. I don't know if game wardens or anything was out there, but, you know, all of them have to come and get a report. And so at first, early on in the night, me and Raven was like a little separated. Well, I do know that I did go to her to get Wesley's number so I can hurry up and call him and let him know, because she was on the phone with her mom and also talking with the officer, and I was talking with the officer. So I needed to make sure Wesley knew what was going on before, you know, things get on the internet and just spread, and then he find out that way. That would have been terrible. But yeah, so in the midst of all of that, we're answering police officers, and then so about at the time this all happened, the sun was still out. It wasn't sunset time yet, but by the time like the third or fourth police department come out, me and Raven were closer by each other, like physically closer by each other. And that was when the first time I heard of the two guys, which later I presumed to be the two guys that were on the boat. But like when I was holding on to that boat, I thought it was just, you know, I didn't see the two guys in the water, but from everybody's perspective, that's when Raven told the officer, she said, I was pushing her up, and then I saw the two guys, so I pushed Trin to the two guys, and she slipped away. That's when I first heard about the two guys in the water.